We're going to do the next proclamation to recognize Councilmember Nancy Tosta, and this is going to be presented by Councilmember Kevin Schilling. Go ahead, Mr. Schilling. Councilmember Schilling, the floor is yours.
Whereas Councilmember Nancy Tosta was elected to the Burien City Council in 2013 and re-elected in 2017, she was selected by her fellow council members to serve as deputy mayor in 2015 and 2017. And whereas Councilmember Tosta served on several regional committees, including the Highline Forum, King County Cities Climate Collaboration, Sound Cities Association's Public Issues Committee, Water Resource Inventory Area 9 Forum, King County Affordable Housing Committee of the King County Growth Management Planning Council, and the Puget Sound Regional Council's Growth Management Policy Board and Executive Board. And whereas prior to her election to the City Council, Councilmember Tosta held leadership positions in federal, state, and regional government, served on the Burien Planning Commission, and continues to serve on boards and commissions for transit, food access, regenerative agriculture and organic farming, and education nonprofits. And whereas Councilmember Tosta was instrumental in the passage of Ordinance 651, changing the Burien Municipal Code to prohibit inquiries into immigration status and religious affiliation by city staff or officials to ensure that Burien remained a welcoming city. And whereas Councilmember Tosta was instrumental in the passage of Resolution 384, forming the Burien Airport Committee, and chaired the committee from 2017 through 2020, standing up to the Port of Seattle, working with federal legislators to hold the Federal Aviation Administration accountable for aviation impacts in our community, and advocating to address air quality impacts due to aviation activities. And whereas over the last 8 years, Councilmember Tosta worked to address the issue of climate change by participating actively in the K4C, addressing the state legislature to pass legislation that would reduce greenhouse gas emissions, advocating for the inclusion of climate goals in the Puget Sound Regional Council's Vision 2050, and promoting the development of a climate action plan for the city of Burien, adopted by the City Council in 2021. And whereas Councilmember Tosta advocated for human services and housing affordability by supporting the creation of the Human Services Commission, Affordable Housing Demonstration Program, and Housing Action Plan. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Burien does hereby ask all Burien community members to join together in honoring Councilmember Tosta. And I'll just say a few extra words about Nancy. Nancy was the first elected official who sat down with me when I announced that I was running for City Council. And since then, Nancy's become a personal friend and personal mentor of mine. She's had more careers than anybody I've ever met in my life. She has probably been instrumental at all levels of government across this country. And in one way or another, I think everyone has to thank her for something in our lives, whether that's a pioneer of GIS, an environmentalist to the core. But I think probably she's ready for her most important career, which is being a full-time grandma. And so I think she's ready for that change. My dad growing up always asked me, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I have a running statement in my family. Whenever that's asked now, I say, I want to be Nancy Tosta. We were in DC lobbying Congress, and I have never seen somebody more capable of getting someone to do what they want legislatively. So it's impressive, and we all have a lot to admire and work up to from Nancy. So I'm just happy to have served on council with her.
Thank you, Councilmember Schilling. The floor is yours, Councilmember Tosta.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Schilling. Kevin, I really appreciate those kind words. And thank you to the council and the city for the proclamation. And thank you to, as I said earlier, to the voters of Burien who have given me the privilege of serving you for these last 8 years. I've tried to do you good in whatever way I've had the capacity to do. And yes, I have had a lot of careers. As I said earlier, none of them quite prepared me to be a politician. I was trained to think like a scientist. And as I said earlier, scientists don't think about what the outcome, I mean, we think about outcomes, but we don't guess at the answer. We look at the data and then help use that data to determine what the answer should be. And that is the way I've approached most of the decisions in the city. I try to analyze, research, understand the implications in a systems context, because I think this council and future councils are facing increasingly complex challenges where everything is connected to everything else, and it makes our policy making even more challenging as even as our tree regulations face us tonight. How do we ensure that we protect trees while at the same time we're trying to figure out how to build more housing? So all of those decisions become increasingly complex, and I encourage council members to recognize the connectivity in everything as they make decisions. Thank you all for the opportunity to work with you, and I look forward to continuing these conversations about what we can do to improve the quality of life in our city in the future. So thank you again.
Thank you, Councilmember Tosta.